Good morning, Nigeria. Thank God it's Friday. It's a beautiful morning here in the capital city of Abuja. I am Sunday Michael Ogu.
It is indeed a beautiful Friday morning out here in the nation's capital. Thank God it's Friday, just like Sunday said. I am Ibrahim Yusuf. Welcome to Daybreak.
I'm sure just like us in the studio, many of you cannot wait for today to round up. It's been one day after the other, very hectic schedule for a lot of people.
Exactly.
And Friday usually presents a greater prospect of rest. So you come in, even though tired, but looking forward to a quick roundup of the day so that you can get a deserved rest. And what a better way to start the day than to have it blessed with the amount of rainfalls that we have seen this morning in the capital city. Hopefully, the rain extends to all of the neighboring states around Abuja. It's been raining since 3 a.m. The place is cold. It's a weather for two, some persons would say. And of course, we are two in the studio, so I think that makes it ideal. We will bring you the news headline at this moment. Insecurity, you must rise to the occasion, Buhari tells the Nigerian police.
I have not replied Mbaka's outburst, says Peter Obi.
Kwankwaso visits Owo, condoles with victims.
And now we'll go to the details of the news. The president said in Wudil Kanu at the passing out parade of the cadets of the 4th regular course of the Nigeria Police Academy. Buhari said his administration will continue to demonstrate zero tolerance for crime and criminality, and added that remains our promise to the people of Nigeria who elected us to keep them safe and secured. The peace and stability of our dear country will continue to be of utmost importance. You and the police are our pointmen, and you must rise to the occasion. The president underscored the need to develop a policy on cyber warfare with strategic focus on the prevention of cyber attacks against critical national infrastructure, minimizing national vulnerability to cyber attacks, and minimizing damage and recovery time from cyber attacks. He said many landscapes extend well beyond the land, sea, and air into the vast territories of cyberspace. The internet and new digital technologies have provided a platform for the emerging offenses to reach unprecedented levels. Buhari noted that recent positive developments in the determination of his administration to provide security, build a sustainable economy, and fight against corruption, despite the challenges on ground.
Moving on to politics, the presidential flag bearer of the Labour Party, former Governor Peter Obi, has said that he has not responded to the outburst by the Catholic priest of the Enugu Diocese, Reverend Father Mbaka. Obi, in a statement by his media advisor, Mr. Valentine, said our attention has been drawn to a statement credited to Mr. Peter Obi as his reply to Father Ejike Mbaka. We wish to state for the records that Mr. Obi did not and is not planning to issue any reply. We advise that any medium trying to publish such as an unsigned letter should clarify the authenticity from Mr. Obi's media office. Mbaka had said that former Vice President Atiku Abubakar had shown that he is ready to run for the highest office in the land because he and Obi are no longer on a joint ticket. Peter Obi has a mouthful. He has nowhere to go unless he kneels down on the adoration altar. He accused the presidential candidate of the Labour Party of insulting the Holy Spirit. Mbaka claimed that he helped to be returned to the governorship seat in Anambra State, but he did not come to thank God. Who doesn't spend his money eating what you want to support? Do you want people to starve? If he becomes president, he will close our ministry. If Igbo people are looking for a representative in Nigeria, not the kind of person of Peter Obi is. He said he has not, okay. However, you will recall that presidential flag bearer Peter Obi refused to donate to the church during the last campaign where he ran as vice presidential on the presidential ticket alongside with the current PDP flag bearer.
Moving on to other news now, presidential candidate on the platform of the New Nigeria People's Party, Senator Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso, has paid a condolence visit to the people of Ondo State over the attack on St. Francis Catholic Church. Over 40 worshippers were killed when terrorists invaded the church 2 weeks ago. Kwankwaso, during the visit, called on the federal government to do more in ensuring security of the lives of Nigerian citizens and residents of the country, adding that security should be a top priority. Speaking at the palaces of Prince Ajibade Gbadeshi Ogunoye, the Olowo of Owo, as well as the Ojomo of Ijebu Palace, the former defense minister commended the governor for his resolve to improve the security of the state. Statement by the media aide to the presidential candidate, Saifullah Hassan, said Kwankwaso also visited the scene of the attack and condoled with the residents. While praying for peace to be restored in the country, Kwankwaso prayed for the departed souls.
And that's the march on the news highlight. And moving on to reports this morning, ahead of Friday, June 17 deadline for submission of nomination of presidential and vice presidential candidate across all political parties, as mandated by the Independent National Electoral Commission, the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Atiku Abubakar, has nominated Delta State Governor Ifeanyi Okowa as running mate for the 2023 presidential election. Atiku made the announcement at a meeting attended by PDP stakeholders at the party's headquarters in Abuja. After a 17-member committee had been set up by the party through its National Working Committee to fill the vice presidential candidate slot. Trust TV Aisha Saliu visited the PDP National Secretariat and now reports.
Addressing members of the Board of Trustees at the announcement event, the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Atiku Abubakar, said making a choice among Delta State Governor Ifeanyi Okowa, his Rivers State counterpart Nyesom Wike, and the Akwa Ibom State Governor Udom Emmanuel had been a difficult decision, noting that he looked out for someone who understands the enormity of the challenges facing the country and has demonstrated from experience the ability to prefer solutions.
I'm pleased, therefore, to announce here my choice of running mate who will help lead us to victory next year, not only in the presidential election, but also in the governorship and legislative elections. And he will be by my side as I work hard every day to provide our people with security, revive our economy, improve education, and unite our country. He has both legislative and executive experiences. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming to the ticket the next Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, His Excellency Governor Ifeanyi Okowa.
The newly nominated running mate and Delta State Governor Ifeanyi Okowa accepted the nomination and pledged allegiance to his new principle. He solicited for support from party members and Nigerians at large to enable the party win the election and return to power in 2023.
Election. Thank you and God bless you all.
Look here.
Mr. President, I'm waiting. I must truly thank you for finding me worthy to be on this ticket. I do know that it was a very tough decision, even as we have spoken this afternoon. But I thank God that among my very qualified colleagues, even those more qualified than myself, that I find favor and appear today as the vice presidential candidate of the party. I accept wholeheartedly, and in accepting so, I want to pledge that I'm going to stay loyal and committed to the cause of this battle, and it's a battle that God has gone ahead of us.
Party stakeholders commended the presidential candidate for making the right choice among the trio of eminently qualified contenders.
It is a very good choice, and for those of us who have known him for a long time, we are going to commit ourselves to the success of this ticket, because Okowa and Atiku represent the best we can have in the present Nigeria to be able to answer both our economic and security challenges. So I congratulate my brother, Senator Okowa, and I believe that most Nigerians will find him extremely fit for the job. So we're looking forward to a very successful election where himself and Atiku will be announced as the leaders of this country. So we're going to support every move, every inch of the campaign to ensure that this ticket succeeds. No speculation. It's only the candidate can determine who will be his running mate, and that has happened today. Wike is eminently qualified. just like any other person, including the governors. So, but today, the candidate has made his choice. And I believe that Wike will also put in his best to ensure that the ticket works.
With political parties expected to file in the names of presidential candidates and their running mates latest Friday, June 17th, the opposition party has stated its resolve to ensure the success of the ticket at the presidential poll. Aisha.
And as Nigeria inches closer to the 2023 elections, Nigeria's main opposition party, the People's Democratic Party, PDP, has picked Governor Ifeanyi Okowa as running mate to the presidential candidate, Atiku Abubakar. Okowa is the current incumbent governor of Delta State in south Nigeria. Nana Mohammed brings us a brief profile of the PDP vice presidential candidate.
Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming to the ticket the next Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, His Excellency Governor Ifeanyi Arthur Okowa.
Ifeanyi Arthur Okowa, the present governor of Delta State, was born on the 8th of July 1959 at Owa Aleru in Ika Northeast local government area of Delta State. He attended Edo College, Benin City from 1970 to 1976 before proceeding to the University of Ibadan, where he studied medicine and surgery, graduating in 1981 with an MBBS degree. Before his latest job as governor of Delta State, he was elected senator for Delta North Senatorial District in the April 2011 national elections on the People's Democratic Party PDP platform. Come 2023, Ifeanyi Okowa will run on the same ticket with former Vice President Atiku Abubakar under the People's Democratic Party in the presidential elections. Nana Muhammad, Trust TV News, Abuja.
And now moving on to the states, as part of the efforts to cut the cost of maintenance of non-essential quarters, Kaduna State government has begun the demolition of illegally occupied buildings in the quarters. The exercise followed an approval by the State Executive Council for the quarters to be publicly auctioned to public servants and members of the public. The report.
Following the completion of the auction of subsequent sales of the quarters, the Kaduna State Urban Development Agency Kasubda says some of the occupants are illegally living in the buildings without going through the right channels to own the properties. One of such persons is Yunusa Dabo, whom the government had asked to vacate. He lives in one of the buildings along Gomna Road in Kaduna Metropolis. Dabo says, going by the guidelines on the auction of the property, he has satisfied all the conditions necessary to own the said building, but the government says otherwise.
Going by Kaduna State guidelines on the auction of this non-essential property, I have satisfied all the conditions. One, I was legally allocated the house since 2010, and I was up to date on my rent allowance, even my salary, even my April salary, rent deduction was deducted, the sum of 19,600.
Dabo, who watched the demolition of the property by Kasubda, described the action by the agency as illegal since he had taken the matter to the court.
This is a court contempt. They are all aware. And this is not Kasubda work because it is not government that acquired this house maybe for any public use, either hospital or schools. Do you understand? And this house does not count any master plan. Do you understand? So what has to do with this? It's an issue of sale, and we challenge the sale, and we are the court.
The public relation officer of the Kaduna State Urban Development Agency, Kasubda Nuhu Garba, while reacting to the matter, says the occupant of the sale building was served with several vacation notices, adding that the agency was not served with any court order prior to the demolition.
Persons that living there were issued with notices several times to vacate from the house. To that time, we have not received any directive from the court to stop our mandate.
Workers in the state had in the past rejected the move by the government to sell non-essential resident quotas, saying the decision was with.
And that wraps up the news headlines and reports for this hour on Daybreak. We'll take a short break right now, and when we return, we'll take a look at the front pages of the dailies this morning. Do stay with us.
As the 2023 elections draw near, remember, evil prospers when good men and women only wish for peace, but never take a step to make peaceful elections happen. Are you a father? Are you a mother? What are you saying to your children as elections approach? Have you warned them not to let themselves be used to cause violence? Have you explained to them what the consequences of electoral violence might be? Do your part to make peaceful elections happen. Talk to your children. Protect them from unscrupulous politicians who want to put them in harm's way, while their own children are comfortable at home, within and outside the country. Let's join hands to make 2023 elections peaceful. This message is from the National Orientation Agency, NOAA. To every politician, as the campaigns gain momentum and passions begin to rise, remember, the errors of your opponents do not make you a success. Do not run down your opponent and inflame passions to violence between and among your supporters. What counts is what you plan to do for the electorate and how you intend to relieve the sufferings and bring succor. Nigeria is in dire need of patriotic leaders at all levels, leaders who will make national development their priority. Concentrate on telling the electorate what you intend to do when you get into office. Focus on making your vision clear to the electorate. Don't engage in verbal abuses, fake news or speeches. Keep dealing with issues that will bring progress. You win the hearts and minds of the people by being above board, by being civil, patriotic, and showing empathy. Let's join hands to make the 2023 elections peaceful. A message from the National Orientation Agency.
Not necessarily tribal or regional.
Welcome back, and thanks for staying with us on Daybreak right here on Trust TV. Well, right now we're going to take a look at the papers and see the stories making the headlines this morning. As usual, we're going to start with Daily Trust, which carries the major headline on the front page: How Okowa emerged as Atiku's running mate. That is the major headline on the front page of the Daily Trust this morning, and actually has riders here saying PDP founding fathers not comfortable with Rivers governor. Picking Delta governor, a difficult decision, says PDP's candidate. And Wike Ugwanyi, others absent at unveiling. To meet deadline, APC nominates Masari as dummy running mate. Well, that is quite an interesting one. Then moving on slightly, commotion at APC headquarters as protesters threaten Adamu. That is quite an interesting one, still on the page 25 of the Daily Trust. Moving slightly away from politics, we have headline here, 600 killed, over 2,000 injured in Kaduna-Kanu road crashes in 6 months. Those details can be found on page 7. Moving down to the bottom of the page, Buhari vows clamp down on those profiting from insecurity. And Nigeria is losing interest in whistleblowing, says EFCC. To find out the reason why, they pick up the Daily Trust and turn to page 7. Bandits refuse to release Niger farmers after collecting 26 million naira. That is another headline on the front page of the Daily Trust. Queues. Federal government raises petroleum transporters rate above 25 naira per kilometer. That is another story on the front page of the Daily Trust this morning. And of course, we have a pictorial here of the Inspector General of Police, Usman Ali Baba, Minister of Police Affairs, Muhammad Dingati, President Muhammadu Buhari, Kano State Governor Abdullahi Ganduje, and other dignitaries and the graduates during the 4th passing out parade of the regular course of the Nigeria Police Academy in Kano State. Well, to find out these details of these and more stories, kindly pick up the Daily Trust this morning.
Now we moving on to the Punch newspaper this morning. It does appear that the running mate decision of the People's Democratic Party seem to be reverberating in most cover pages of the national dailies this morning. And from the Punch newspaper, the major headline reads, Wike's camp films. Once PDP as Atiku picks Okowa running mate. Atiku rejected Rivers, not Wike. There will be implications. Local government chair, ex-representative. I picked Okowa because he is president in waiting, qualified to govern Nigeria, Atiku. Obaseki, Ekweremadu, Secondus Bag Delta governor. INEC asks parties to submit list today, that is. And you have a belt right up there above the nameplate. Nigerians spent 3.25 trillion on airtimes data in 2021. And this is according to the Nigerian Communications Commission, and you will find the details of that story on page 21. Abuja queues. Buhari approves freight rate increase for fuel transporters. That story is on page 21. FG plans 17 airport concession to unbundle aviation regulation. That also is on page 21. Police have failed Nigerians, Akeredolu declares. High inflation, fiscal deficits to persist in Nigeria, says the International Monetary Fund. AIB begins probe of overland aircraft mid-air engine fire. You'll find the details of that story on page 22. And right there on the front page are pictures of the sortings that are going on at the INEC office ahead of tomorrow's Ekiti elections with the belt right there on Benedict story. Ekiti Post, 17,000 policemen, soldiers deployed. INEC moves electoral materials to local government. I dropped my presidential ambition in Southwest interest, says Amosu. Amazing. Collapse building. Lagos begins demolition of 3 Ikoyi high-rise building. You find that on page 22. Hijab crisis. Release panel report. Muslims tell Kwara government. That story is on page 20. Ogun church leaders. Adopters reduce ransom to 10 million. Threatens victim. Judge dismisses plea bargain, jails man 21 years for killing wife. That story is on page 4 and 5 of the Punch. And Owo massacre, reps want raid on forest reserves. Victims get mass burial today. That will be another symbolic day in the annals of Ondo State, as the victims of the last of the fortnight killings in the state will be committed to Mother Earth later today. These and many more are the stories on the covers of the Punch newspaper.
The next newspaper we're going to be looking at is The Nation newspaper, which, in keeping with the main story of the day, carries this major headline, VP slot, how PDP elders dropped Wike for Okowa. And, of course, the rider here, why Delta governor was picked. And my choice won't disappoint Rivers. These are the riders there from the major headline. And then still keeping with the front page of the Nation newspaper, CBN makes new plans to fix Forex crisis. Apex Bank looks beyond monetary policy. At the top of the nameplate there, you see, killings. Monarch seeks state police and burial for victims today. Lagos to demolish 2 high-rise buildings in Ikoyi, and Ekiti governorship poll. INEC distributes sensitive materials. Police deploy 17,000 personnel. 60 women observers ready, and no court nullified APC primary. These are riders to support the Ekiti governorship poll headline on the front page of the Nation newspaper. Akeredolu Malemi clash over restructuring. AGF states lack moral right to control councils. And these are the major stories on the front page of the Nation newspaper this morning.
Interesting, and we move on to the Guardian newspaper. The flagship has, as with other parties, the story on Okowa, and right there we find a quote from Vice President Atiku Abubakar: "Why I chose Okowa over Wike despite party's nod." You find riders there. Okowa, Atiku has answered to Nigeria's challenges. Wike won't be disappointed. Atiku had final say. IU clarifies. Secondus congratulate Atiku. Okowa betrayed Asaba Accord of Southern Governors Ohaneze Ndibu Afebwa. Reacts. Interesting developments there on the cover. You find the big story promoted right there on the cover. It's on 23 years of democracy. Economy buckles under political risks and official graft. You find stories of patients undergoing COVID-19 protocols right there on the cover. And directly below the nameplate, you find Onogen canvasses adequate funding to save judiciary. Police kills 4 bandits, arrests female gun runner in Kaduna. FG failings over security may push citizens to self-defense. This is according to Akeredolu. And the adoption of Abia journalist, NUJ tax security agencies for his release. And right, Bernard, that is the editorial from the This Day that is promoted on the cover, the Muslim Ticket Challenge. And Bernard, that you find commotion at the APC Secretariat as protesters threaten Adamu over the substitution of candidate. I thought we have gone past the era of candidate substitution in Nigeria. But it's what the Guardian serves on its cover this morning.
All right, next we are going to take a look at the Blueprint newspaper, which, in keeping with what we have seen already from other dailies, carries this major headline: 2023, how Wike lost to Okowa as Atiku's running mate. And riders here: Rivers Governor Makinde Tambol, 4 others absent at unveiling. Board of Trustees Chair Walid Jibril secondus hail Atiku Okowa ticket, and Delta Governor disciplined, not aggressive, said Ned Nwoko, as they had major headline on the front page of the Blueprint. Well, on just below the nameplate here is another headline: suspense in APC over Tinubu's running mate ahead of INEC's deadline. And riders here: substitution of Enugu, Kogi, Imo candidates causes commotion, and party primary in Kogi daylight robbery, says Adeyemi. Supreme Court might become glorified High Court, says ex-Chief Justice of Nigeria, Onogen. And FBN Holdings, Zenith Bank top as 12 banks pay AMCON 125.9 billion naira. IMF raises food security concerns, says fiscal deficit will hit 6.1% GDP. Well, that's a look at the economy. And then Irabo to politicians: we won't watch you perpetrate violence. 557,004 terrorists surrender, 47 killed. And our government has made impact on security, anti-corruption. That is a statement attributed to President Muhammadu Buhari. Well, these are the major headlines on the front page of the Blueprint newspaper this morning.
And quite a number of other papers seem to be aligning largely with the headlines that we have seen from the number of papers that we have reviewed this morning. At this point, we will be going straight into the analysis of the paper, and we have in the studio with us, as always, every Friday, every Good Friday, as far as we have him in the studio with us, the editor of 21st Chronicle newspaper, Nuruddin Abdullah, a friend and a brother of the house. You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
It's a pleasure to have you join us this morning.
My pleasure.
We understand it's a weather for two, but we have to force you out of. We have to force you out of your. Where should be your favorite about given the weather this morning? We have seen the papers. The common denominator to all of the papers would be the emergence of Okowa. I'm sure you followed what the former vice president said about his person. And we know how intense the moment leading to that announcement had been for keen watchers of activities in that party, especially because some 24 hours earlier, another name purportedly, made it to the social media and everywhere. And we were hoping and waiting for an official announcement, and lo and behold, it became somebody else. Can you speak to the emergence of Okowa? What does it mean for the PDP?
So I think it is not surprising that Okowa was finally picked, despite all the speculations and permutations, particularly in the social media, that who came second during the opposition party's special convention in Abuja. And this is largely because of the persona of the two major candidates. Or rather, at the beginning, the PDP has micro-zoned the VP slot to South-South. Yes, that is one. And largely, we came second during the convention, Mr. Okowa, as well as Udomo Manuel of Akwa Ibom. PDP has been out of power for 8 years now. By next year, we'll say 8 years. So it is doing everything possible to put its house in order to launch itself back into the totem pole of power. Excuse me. Sorry. Therefore, the selection of those who will be her flag bearers matters. And Nigeria is a very sensitive country. Unfortunately, we promote primordial issues to national limelight. Religion, ethnicity, the section you come from now matters, which is not supposed to be. So PDP is very conscious of this. And if you look at the personality of Wike, you don't need to be told. Yeah, he is somebody who is, I think, not only proactive, overactive, if there is such words. He's a pusher, what he did in the last 7 years in River State, speaks for him. But if you look at him, he is not going there as the main man. He is going to deputize. And from what we know of Wike, social media is not helping these politicians now. What we did 10 years ago now will resurface. So these are some of the things that he has a lot of baggage. He has an advantage. He's a pusher, and he has the watches. Even though Okowa owns Delta as a state, owns more than, more than River State. But he has the heart of spending. When his performance during the special convention was unexpected, you understand? So these are some of those things that PDP looked into it. Like you said, the founding fathers. They know what the problem is. He's someone who doesn't hide his mind. Or he speaks openly. And in politics, it is an advantage and disadvantage, particularly when you are looking for a national office. On the other hand, Okowa is a very urban, he's a trained medical doctor. He has all the experience. He was secretary to the local government, a chairman of a local government, commissioner, and senator, and now a governor. So politically, he has passed all the... And he's reserved, calm, unlike his reverse counterpart. So he has fit the mold of a deputy president or deputy governor in the Nigerian palace. You can't overshadow the master. I think, and when they were even saying Wike, I don't think Atiku will pick Wike. The only proactive vice president we had was Atiku, 1999 to 2007. And as far as Obasanjo is concerned, it's a mistake. And look at what happened on the build-up to the 2003 elections. He was in control of the party structure. He was in control of the PDP governors. Obasanjo literally begged him to get a second term. And immediately they came back. You know what happened? Atiku was sacked. You know, he went to court. He won cases 12 times before he... So now, whoever they want to pick as a running mate, you know, they will pick a layback, somebody, yes sir, yes sir, yes sir, yes sir, yes sir. But if you're a man of your own, you know, you can't fit that. And that's why Okowa, was not surprising that Okowa was picked with all the... Wike can be Nigerian president. You understand? We are not, a Nigerian president must not necessarily be a pastor, one imam. Nigeria is not a national mosque or a community center. What he needs to do is, the resources are there, fix things, and he's doing it in rivers. But the other aspect, now he's a deputy. Even afraid that can this guy, so that there won't be any confrontation at the villa one time.
Well, the thing is, just like you alluded to before you started speaking, you see the PDP has been out of power for a while, and they need to make a strong showing to really launch themselves back on to the top of that totem pole of power. And a lot of people are actually saying that they probably need somebody with Wike's energy. Somebody with Wike's rabble-rousing ability to be able to garner the necessary support that they need. Maybe a lot of people are actually looking at the Okowa's demeanor as being too reserved and too laid back. They cannot be able to galvanize enough votes, most especially in the South for the PDP.
No, I don't think I don't align myself with that school of thought, because check the social media. At the time Wike is being speculated as the running mate, all manner of footages surfaced. He attacked some people from a particular ethnic group. He attacked a particular faith. You know, all these things. So, in fact, yesterday, if you remember, when Okowa marched, you know, there is this joke, social media, particularly Facebook, particularly from the northern part of the country, saying that, okay, you know the rosary, the Muslim rosary. He said that Wike was once reported to have insulted the Muslim rosary. You can see how primordial it is. So they are saying that now Okowa, we hope that, he said that we hope that, it was a joke actually, that he has seen the poster of the Sultan, and you know, he did like this. He just... So you see, people are looking for the minutest probe to latch on. So PDP is being careful. Now the VP appointment of the vice president by the ruling party is now inconclusive, right? So now, for the first time, we have
I thought we have jettisoned that phrase from the 2015
it has come back.
election.
It has come back.
You know,
now.
I was asking in the newsroom yesterday, I said, what exactly is a dummy? I have never heard of this in my entire journalistic life. What exactly is a dummy vice president?
The confusion in APC is so monumental. You know, we started in Kano 2019, you know, inconclusive has been there maybe in the election. But you know, in Kano, we promoted it to the international level. And now, you know, we have infected the national party. APC now is facing inconclusive. And now they created another dummy
vice presidential candidate.
You can see. So PDP is trying to avoid anything such. It's a Muslim ticket thing. They're looking at it now. Okay, can we go this way? Can we go this? You know, the religion has, and you know, it has to do largely because of our underdevelopment. That is it. That is why, you know, I am a Hausa man, so I believe that if the person that is being put there is not a Hausa man, I'm not protected. Or I'm a Muslim, and if the person that is there doesn't share the same faith with me, all these are indices of underdevelopment. And it's unfortunate that at this level, we are still, if, for instance, now you consider all these as qualities for appointing a imam of the National Mosque in Abuja, or the chief priest of the ecumenical center in Abuja, it's understandable. He is the president, his deputy are not coming to the villa to lead special prayers. To fix the economy, simple. So it doesn't matter, competence. Does he have the competence? Does he know, is he conversant with macroeconomics? Because no matter how you pray, for instance, if you don't get your economic on the right, forget it. Absolutely. We saw it in Egypt. They overthrew Mubarak in the popular uprising. They brought the Muslim Brotherhood. They brought Morsi.
They couldn't.
He's the mullah. He recited the Holy Quran at any given opportunity. But the prices of bread were shooting. The gas supply that they took for granted under Mubarak dictatorship now is becoming something else. 1 year later, they push him out. So that is the reality. But unfortunately now, the Igbos are thinking that, okay, without an Igbo president, the Igbo land will not grow. Okay, now we have a northern president, House of Fulani president, for instance. So, but State Ibrahim and me, okay, what have I achieved? We need a president that will fix the economy, fix power. You say 600 people perish between Kano and Kaduna.
Yeah,
you know how many kilometers? In 6 months, over thousands injured. Look at the loss of lives. Look at the economic loss. There are people that abandon that forever. Irrespective of the economic. So, you know, these are some of the issues. But unfortunately, in Nigeria, in 21st century, we are still stuck with all these primordial issues. So we hope that Domi, what do you call it?
The best presidential candidate.
I hope we will find the opportunity for somebody from the APC to sort of explain
to clarify this. To actually
because
clarify
I still have not gotten a satisfactory explanation around that concept. Is it even something that
nobody seems to know?
That's
the problem.
Where only heavens can tell where they would have hit, you know, to come up with what this is. But clearly, I think what this suggests is that decisions are not easy. As primordial as you have mentioned that the issues are, it appears they are not decisions you can walk over because a lot of sensibilities are involved. The lines are they are fine margins, and if you are not careful. But the question really is, are we supposed to start this Christian, Muslim thing conversation only during elections? Isn't this a conversation we should genuinely deal with and trash off long before elections so that when we arrive at this point, everybody would have moved away from that? And do you also think, well, you said it's primordial, but had there been any reason for the people to genuinely express fear that they will not get anything because one of their own is not there?
I don't think so. And you know, people just join the bandwagon. It's basically stereotyping. Pick Jonathan, for instance. Jonathan was president, yes, for 6 years, right? Jonathan cannot, even if, for instance, now, you know, Jonathan has not been, he's not what we can call a fanatical Christian. We have Muslims and we have extremists, and you know, all this. Right. Can he bring his religion into affairs of Nigeria? How? He has a Muslim vice president. He has a national security advisor that was a Muslim, a House of Fulani. He can be Sultan tomorrow. He has a defense minister who was a Muslim from the Northwest. So if you look at all this, okay, what can he do? Okay, to allocate, let's say, okay, he will just wake up from his sleep and say that I am building an ecumenical center in all the 36 states. No. There are procedures. You're talking about National Economic Council 36 state governors. Or you see, when it comes to fact allocation, will he say, okay, Minister of Finance, this month I want 50% of the fact channel to Bayelsa or channel to Church A or B. No. Finance minister, finance commissioners or accountant generals of the 36 states are there to decide. Look at the Federal Executive Council. Constitutionally, every state has a member. So if you look at it, then you wonder, are these fears actually reasonable or realistic? Or even Buhari now, what can he do? Look at the combination of, he has a deputy who is a pastor of a very big church in the country. What can he do? So even when Tinubu comes like they say now, okay, does it really matter? Yeah, Buhari has been there for 8 years. His wife is a pastor of a very big church. Maybe, you know, he has been planning this, so he has been and he has planned all these things, you know. So, whoever he picks, does it really matter? And after all, we are just going there as the vice president. So I think, like I say, all this is a sign of underdevelopment. That you have a medical issue, you went to a hospital, and because I'm a houseman, I dress like one. Say, okay, you know, you have seen the nurses, they have taken your vitals, and you go to consultancy room 1. I just barged into there, good morning, I saw an Igbo man. Then I back out. I said, no, I won't be attended by an Igbo man. No. Oh, I'm flying from Abuja to Lagos. Then I boarded, and then I said, hey, my name is Captain Emeka. I said, no, wait. Let me get down. No. Competence, merit should be our focal points. But unfortunately, you know, because, and the politicians are using this. Like you say, why is it that no other issues? No, they die. When they steal money, look at all the corruption cases we have. Is it only the Muslims that are stealing the money? Go to the EFCC website. No. The conspiracy, the collaboration is between, no, when they are stealing, it doesn't matter whether you are Muslim or a Christian or even a pagan or even an animist. It doesn't matter whether you're a Hausaman, an Igbo man.
Yeah.
Look at all the generals. Which general did not steal?
He said there's federal character in sharing.
Yes, but when it comes, unfortunately, and you know, because of this, the religion is very sensitive to us.
That's right.
You know, and our people don't even know it is during elections that they use it to wipe in all these sentiments, to stereotype. In the course of sharing the national booty, you know, then we went for one deal and I'm outsmarted. I will come back to my people. Do you know why Mr. Sunday is doing this to me? It is because I'm a Hausaman or a Muslim. Then because of the maddening crowd, because you know, the majority of it there, we go to school, but we are still illiterate. You know, you say, no.
It's unfortunate.
It's unfortunate, actually. It's unfortunate, actually, that, you know, we are still stuck into this 17th century thing when it comes to, and only during elections. Let's go to EFCC. Say, why is it that Hausa man are stealing? Why is it the Igbo people are stealing? Why is it the Igbo? The Hausa man was suspended as acting as the treasurer of the country, right?
Yeah.
Then we should carry placard and say, why is another Hausa man? Is it not the Hausa man that is heading the EFCC? Why are you persecuting Hausa people? Don't say that. So, you know, these are some of the issues. NSA, former NSA, the Suki is a Hausa man. He can be Sultan tomorrow. But look at that, he carried money, he took money that was meant for weapons and whatever, and shared it to people across all boards. He gave it to pastors, he gave it to imams, he gave it to houses.
He said it's for national
and
prayer.
And they collected it silently.
It's for national prayer.
They didn't say, no, I can't collect this money because this man is a Hausa man or a Muslim. No, they pocketed everything, and they're even justifying it.
But it's for national prayers, and the national prayers were held. That's enough justification, if you like.
Yeah.
Moving on, we saw the president charge to the Nigerian police to be alive to its responsibility. I mean, we are at that point again. Is this what we need at this time? With all of the kidnappings that have happened across board, there seems to be no communication. It doesn't feel like any progress is being made. It's been 2 weeks after the Owa attack. We didn't hear of a trail. We just hear of intelligence reports, whether they came from a prophet or from intuitions, we don't know. And all we do is to label that these incidents have happened by one group and then go to sleep. Don't we need more than just a charge to security agencies to wake up?
Yeah, you mentioned, I said it was last week. You know, the days will come by and nothing will happen. So 2 weeks after, 40 people were killed. You know, in the most sacrilegious manner, because they were worshippers, you know, inside a sacred place. But no arrest, not to talk of prosecution, and nobody was reprimanded. The Kaduna train attack, 28, by next week, there will be 3 months captivity. No arrest, not to talk of docking whoever is believed to be a suspect, and nobody was sanctioned. The president was in the graduation and passing out parade of young officers. But, like I said several times, if you don't, you have to give people schedule. You have to give them targets. We have to run security like a business. There are specific targets. There are do's and don'ts. If you can't meet up, you give way. Let's try others. But provided we don't do, even when the president was there, you know, nobody felt threatened, nobody's position. So it's business as usual. We are just waiting for the next victims, next targets, and what the federal government, and unfortunately, you know, the government has taken one stand, which is not good for even law enforcement management generally. When the attack took place, you know, they just came, it was ISWAP, chapter closed. So that's what it means. It was ISWAP. And 24 hours after the attack on the church, the same, according to reports, the same attackers, 3 in 1 in a motorbike,
open fire,
came back to the same town, went to a northern community, and opened fire. They were not repelled by anybody. They killed 6 instantly, injured dozens, and they went back to where they came from. As I'm talking to you, nobody, the police commissioner was not summoned. The DPO in charge, the area commander in charge of it was not reprimanded. They stay put. So this is a big problem. In other crimes, something like this happened. You see officials resigning, saying that they had failed in their responsibility to protect the lives and property of the citizens. So that's the problem. So what the president is just the normal speech the speech writers put down there. You just change the location and the date. That is it. Because what you say is almost empty. Do content analysis of the media and say how many directives has he issued, how many orders. He ordered for the rescue of the train hostages. You know, I was complaining that day, why is the order coming 3 weeks after the attack? Now, 3 months after the attack, the order has not been implemented. So the same thing, the all victims will be buried today. And you know, we'll move on. After the election, it's now equity. And finally, maybe what I'm saying here is if the federal government is serious about this, let's militarize the areas. 17,000 personnel have been sent to Ikiti because some big-time politicians are going there and what have you. they are not only the lower rank, no. A DIG is leading the police. He's assisted by, I think, about 3 assistant inspectors of police, about 5 commissioner of police, about 10 deputy commissioner of police, and 18 assistant commissioner of police.
One small state.
If you see, I think they have deployed all the dogs, the trained police officers, speed boats, armored vehicles, and what have you, just for a 2 or 3 day exercise. Why can't you do mass recruitment? Like I said this elsewhere, during the Civil War, at the beginning of the Civil War, the Nigerian armed forces was not up to 20,000. But because we had an emergency at hand, in the 3 years that we fought that war, the number was jacked up to over 200,000. After the war, there was demobilization. Why can't we do the same thing? Try it now and say you want to join the police or you want to join the army. If you don't know the senator from your locality or you don't have money, you don't go anywhere. So it's a problem. These problems are endemic. And look at it in their budget. We are spending more than 4 trillion officially on subsidy. This thing is going to some people's pockets. No accountability, no oversight. How much are we spending on security? Even in Abuja, look at how the policemen are dressed. Don't go to a village. Even in Abuja, you'll see them with sandals. I don't want to, in the federal capital. Or you will even be wondering what our vehicles they are using. You'll see them with Sayana, you'll see them with Sharon. And Pent. I say, no, why can't you, let's be symbolic at least. This is the federal capital. The diplomats, the big guys are here. So let's show some sign of seriousness. Maybe if you go to ask at Nasara and Kaduna, you can see maybe pickups, Akorikura, yeah, no, I saw a Kekena with a painted with.
Yeah, of course, in Lagos, every day Kekena.
So no, let's be serious for once. I hope that the president in the last years, about 1 year now to go, maybe if he can do something different. They are saying they're recruiting 10,000. There has been the Police Service Commission and the IG are locked.
Unable to. Sitting
How much? When the president said 10,000 should be on, how many 10,000 have they recruited? Why is recruitment a problem? Even the military. Now you want to join the army, you go to Zaria, they say that you must have 5 credits, including math and English, in not more than 1 city for a recruit. So, you know, all these things, now we have an emergency.
Yeah.
Do mass recruitment. Let's fight this thing, let's unite the country, you know, then maybe later we can talk of other things. But that's not
not happening.
Well, it is quite unfortunate, and well, we do hope, just like you said, maybe something could be done in the final hours of this administration. Well, with that, we are going to wrap up the analysis of the papers. Nuruddin Abdullah, it's always a pleasure to have you on the show, and we do enjoy your analysis and in-depth thoughts about.
Yes, I hope you resolve the dumb meeting.
Yes, and the inconclusive vice presidential candidate selection that we actually have. Hopefully, next time you come, we can be able to have. We probably would have had more insights into what that actually means. So it's still Daybreak on Trust TV. We'll take a short break right now, and the show continues after this. Stay with us. Good morning, Nigeria. Welcome to Daybreak right here on Trust TV. It's a beautiful Friday morning in the nation's capital. I am Ibrahim Yusuf.
It's a pleasure to have you join us this morning. I am Sunday Michael Ogu.
All right, so we'll go straight into the headlines on this hour. I have not replied Mbaka's outburst, says Peter Obi.
Kwankwaso visits Owo, condoles with victims.
Insecurity, you must rise to the occasion, Buhari tells police.
Moving on to the details, I have not replied Mbaka's outburst, according to the presidential flag bearer of the Labour Party, former Governor Peter Obi. Obi, in a statement by his media aide and advisor, Mr. Valentine, said our attention has been drawn to a statement credited to Mr. Peter Obi as his reply to Father Ejike Mbaka, and we wish to state for the records that Mr. Obi did not and is not planning to issue any reply. We advise that any medium trying to publish such a letter should clarify its authenticity from the Obi Media's office. Obem said he has not made any statement on Mbaka's attack on him, as after the news went viral of a statement that went into circulations of the cleric attacking the person of former Governor Peter Obi.
And now we go to politics, where presidential candidate of the platform of the New Nigeria People's Party and MPP, Senator Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso, has paid a condolence visit to the people of Ondo State over the attack on St. Francis Catholic Church, where over 40 worshippers were killed when terrorists invaded the church 2 weeks ago. Kwankwaso, during the visit, called on the federal government to do more in ensuring security of the lives and property of Nigerians and residents of the country, adding that security should be a top priority. Speaking at the palaces of Prince Ajibade Gbadegbeshin, the Olowo of Owo, as well as the Ojomo of Ijebu Palace, the former defense minister commended the governor for his resolve to improve the security of the state. A statement by the media aide to the presidential candidate, Saifullah Hassan, said Kwankwaso also visited the scene of the attack and condoled with the residents. While praying for peace to be restored in the country, Kwankwaso prayed for the departed souls.
And moving on to security, the president has charged the Nigerian police to wake up to their responsibility in safeguarding the nation. The president made the call when he visited Wudil at the passing out parade of the cadets of the 4th regular course of the Nigerian Police Academy. Buhari said his administration will continue to demonstrate zero tolerance for crime and criminality, adding that the remains of promise to the people of Nigeria who elected us is to keep them safe and secure. The president underscored the need to develop a policy of cyber welfare with strategic focus on the prevention of cyber attacks against critical national infrastructure, minimizing national vulnerability to cyber attacks, and minimizing damage and recovery time from cyber attacks. Buhari noted that the recent positive development in the determination of his administration to provide security, build a sustainable economy, and fight against corruption, despite the challenges on ground.
Well, that's it on the news headlines this morning. Now we'll take a couple of news reports. Now, ahead of Friday, June 17th deadline for the submission of nominations of presidential and vice presidential candidates across all political parties, as mandated by the Independent National Electoral Commission, the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Atiku Abubakar, has nominated Delta State Governor Ifeanyi Okowa as running mate for the 2023 presidential election. Now, Atiku made the announcement at a meeting attended by PDP stakeholders at the party's headquarters in Abuja, after a 17-member committee had been set up by the party through its National Working Committee to fill the vice presidential candidate slot. Now, Trust TV's Aisha Salihu was at the PDP National Secretariat and now reports.
Addressing members of the Board of Trustees at the announcement event, the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Atiku Abubakar, said making a choice among Delta State Governor Ifeanyi Okowa, his Rivers State counterpart Nyesom Wike, and the Akwa Ibom State Governor Udom Emmanuel had been a difficult decision, noting that he looked out for someone who understands the enormity of the challenges facing the country and has demonstrated from experience the ability to prefer solutions.
I'm pleased, therefore, to announce here my choice of running mate who will help lead us to victory next year, not only in the presidential election, but also in the governorship and legislative elections. And he will be by my side as I work hard every day to provide our people with security, revive our economy, improve education, and unite our country. He has both legislative, and executive experiences. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming to the ticket the next Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, His Excellency Governor Ifeanyi Ata.
The newly nominated running mate and Delta State Governor Ifeanyi Okowa accepted the nomination and pledged allegiance to his new principal. He solicited for support from party members and Nigerians at large to enable the party win the election and return to power in 2023.
Election. Thank you and God bless you all.
Look here.
Mr. President, I'm waiting. I must truly thank you for finding me worthy to be on this ticket. I do know that it was a very tough decision, even as we have spoken this afternoon. But I thank God that among my very qualified colleagues, even those more qualified than myself, that I find favor and appear today as the vice presidential candidate of the party. I accept wholeheartedly, and in accepting so, I want to pledge that I'm going to stay loyal and committed to the cause of this battle, and it's a battle that God has gone ahead of us.
Party stakeholders commended the presidential candidate for making the right choice among the trio of eminently qualified contenders.
It's a very good choice, and for those of us who have known him for a long time, we are going to commit ourselves to the success of this ticket, because Okowa and Atiku represent the best we can have in the present Nigeria to be able to answer both our economic and security challenges. So I congratulate my brother, Senator Okowa, and I believe that most Nigerians will find him extremely fit for the job. So we're looking forward to a very successful election where himself and Atiku will be announced as the leaders of this country. So we're going to support every move, every inch of the campaign to ensure that this ticket succeeds. No speculation. It's only the candidate can determine who will be his running mate, and that has happened today. Wike is eminently qualified, just like any other person, including the governors. So, but today, the candidate has made his choice, and I believe that Wike will also put in his best to ensure that the ticket works.
With political parties expected to file in the names of presidential candidates and their running mates latest Friday, June 17th, the opposition party has stated its resolve to ensure the success of the ticket at the presidential poll. Aisha Salihu, Trust TV News, Abuja.
There with the opposition party, People's Democratic Party, and still staying with politics as Nigeria inches closer to the 2023 elections. Nigeria's men's opposition party, the People's Democratic Party, has picked Governor Ifeanyi Okowa as running mate to the presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar. Okowa is the incumbent governor of Delta State, South Nigeria. Nana Mohammed brings us a brief profile of the PDP vice presidential candidate.
Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming to the ticket the next Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, His Excellency Governor Ifeanyi Ata Okowa.
Ifeanyi Ata Okowa, the present governor of Delta State, was born on the 8th of July 1959 at Owa Aleru in Ika Northeast local government area of Delta State. He attended Edo College, Benin City from 1970 to 1976 before proceeding to the University of Ibadan, where he studied medicine and surgery, graduating in 1981 with an MBBS degree. Before his latest job as governor of Delta State, he was elected senator for Delta North Senatorial District in the April 2011 national elections on the People's Democratic Party (PDP) platform. Come 2023, Ifeanyi Okowa will run on the same ticket with former Vice President Atiku Abubakar under the People's Democratic Party in the presidential elections. Nana Muhammad, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Now we'll move slightly away from politics, and as part of efforts to cut the maintenance costs of non-essential quarters, Kaduna State Government has begun the demolition of illegally occupied buildings in said quarters. The exercise followed an approval by the State Executive Council for the quarters to be publicly auctioned to public servants and members of the public. The report.
Following the completion of the auction of subsequent sales of the quarters, the Kaduna State Urban Development Agency (KASUBDA) says some of the occupants are illegally living in the buildings without going through the right channels to own the properties. One of such persons is Yunus Dabo, whom the government had asked to vacate. He lives in one of the buildings along Gomna Road in Kaduna Metropolis. Dabo says, going by the guidelines on the auction of the property, he has satisfied all the conditions necessary to own the said building, but the government says otherwise.
Going by Kaduna State guidelines on the auction of this non-essential property, I have satisfied all the conditions. One, I was legally allocated the house since 2010, and I was up to date on my rent allowance. Even my salary, even my April salary, rent deduction was deducted, the sum of 19,600.
Dabo, who watched the demolition of the property by KASUBDA, described the action by the agency as illegal since he had taken the matter to the court.
This is a court contempt. They are all aware. And this is not KASUBDA work, because it is not government that acquired this house maybe for any public use, either hospital or schools. Do you understand? And this house does not count any master plan. Do you understand? So what has to do with this? It's an issue of sale, and we challenge the sale, and we are the court.
The public relations officer of the Kaduna State Urban Development Agency (KASUBDA) Nuhu Garba, while reacting to the matter, says the occupant of the sale building was served with several vacation notices, adding that the agency was not served with any court order prior to the demolition.
Persons that living there were issued with notices several times to vacate from the house. To that time, we have not received any directive from the court to stop our mandate.
Workers in the state had in the past rejected the move by the government to sell non-essential resident quarters, saying the decision was without recourse to the workers in the state.
What a pathetic situation there. And with that, we come to a wrap with the reports this morning. We will take a short breather at this point, and when we return, the discussion proper begins. Please stay with us.
Welcome back to Daybreak on Trust TV. Well, before we went on that break, we did tell you that our main discussion comes up after that break. So right now we'll go straight into it. Presidential flag bearer of the People's Democratic Party and former Vice President of Nigeria, Atiku Abubakar, has announced Governor of Delta State, Ifeanyi Okowa, as his preferred running mate in the forthcoming 2023 presidential election. Now, Atiku, during the announcement, explained that Okowa personifies not only the seriousness of the situation, but also represents a future young people yearn and deserve. Ifeanyi Okowa and Nyesom Wike, Governor of Rivers State, were the top two on the list of preferred candidates being considered for the vice president slot. However, former Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives, Emeka Ihedioha, and former Senate President Ayim Pius Ayim also made the list.
Accordingly, let me state that the person I have chosen as my running mate possesses those identified qualities. He personifies not only the seriousness the current moment represents for our country, but also the future that our young people yearn for and also deserve. He is a serving governor who has demonstrated in his state and through his conduct that governance is about service to the people. I know that he will not only add excitement to our already energized ticket and campaign, but will also help to bring focus, discipline, and stability to our government come 2023. I am pleased, therefore, to announce here my choice of running mate who will help to lead us to victory next year, not only in the presidential election, but also in the governorship and legislative elections. And he will be by my side as I work hard every day to provide our people with security, revive our economy, improve education, and unite our country. He has both legislative and executive experiences. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming to the ticket the next Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, His Excellency Governor Ifeanyi Arthur Okowa.
Now, with today being the deadline for the submission of candidates and their running mates to the Independent National Electoral Commission, the ruling party, APC, and its flag bearer, Bola Tinubu, are expected to announce their vice presidential candidate. The Labour Party and its candidate, Peter Obi, are also expected to announce his running mate today. Well, to get into the discussion, we now have in the studio the spokesperson to the flag bearer of the PDP, Mr. Paul Ibe, in the studio right here for us to analyze the selection of their vice presidential candidate. Welcome, sir.
Thank you for having me.
All right, sir. So the question is, Ifeanyi Okowa has been selected as the vice presidential candidate, running mate to your flag bearer of the party. What was the thought process that actually went through? What was the thought process that led to his selection?
Well, first of all, let me say that it's very heartwarming, and you know that the process that started, with the primaries, May 28, 29, has come to, full completion, and I think that members of the party, and indeed Nigerians, will be confident that going forward, the PDP has shown, clearly that, that they are there to win the election. The process has been flawless. The process that produced His Excellency Governor Ifeanyi Okowa was a very robust one. The candidate, His Excellency Atiku Abubakar, considered, the governorship, the vice presidential candidate to the governors. And when he did that, a committee was set up, for research. And the committee looked far, and looked at all of the, the candidates, the prospective candidates, and made a selection of 3 persons. And those 3 persons were also further screened, by another committee that was led by His Excellency, High Chief, Tom Ikimi. So what we had yesterday was a culmination of a very robust, process that led to the emergence of, Governor Ifeanyi Okowa as the vice presidential candidate.
We saw the announcement clearly as we played up that track up to this conversation, but something was also very evidently clear yesterday. One of the names who seemed to have been a major forerunner to this selection was absent. I'm talking about Governor Wike. Does that suggest some kind of acrimony on the ground, or or rather the people of Rivers State not being happy with whatever this decision or outcome is?
No, that is, taking the interpretation beyond what it is. There were 3 governors present at yesterday's event. Governors Ifeanyi Okowa, the candidate, the vice presidential candidate, Governor Bala Mohammed of Bauchi, Governor Emmanuel, Udom, of Akwa Ibom State. Apart from Governor Wike, Governor Fintri was also absent. The governor Governor Baseki was present, but Governor Wike was not the only governor who was absent from, yesterday's event. And I don't think that suggests that for any reason, he's not happy with, with the outcome. The the presidential candidate, Atiku Abubakar, did say, he said clearly that if it were possible, he would have selected, the 3 candidates. What does that suggest? What he was saying, in essence, is that any of those candidates were very, very qualified, to support, his ticket to win the election and to be able to deliver on the mandate, of the PDP, which is essentially is to repair all of the fissures, all of the cracks, all of the damages that have been wrought to our political, social, and economic fabric, as a people and as a nation. So I don't think it suggests, that for any reason Governor Wike, is not happy. Make no mistake about it. His Excellency, Governor Wike he is an extraordinary party man. He understands party politics. He has been committed to, the People's Democratic Party, over the last 2 decades. And it is my belief that he will match his desire with his commitment to ensure that, the PDP, wins, the February 2023 polls. So there is no distance. The unity, the process to forge unity, to reinforce unity in the party, which Atiku Abubakar started after the primaries, certainly he is going to up, the game to ensure that post the announcement of the vice presidential candidate, whatever it is, there may be some misgivings around this, they will mend it and go ahead. The bigger challenge is with kicking out the All Progressives Congress that has made life hell and miserable for all of us.
So well, let's focus on the person now. That's Governor Okowa. A lot of people feel that because if you describe Governor Okowa, one of the first attributes you'll attribute to him is that he's laid back, he's calm, he's reserved, and a lot of people actually believe that is not the kind of person the PDP really needs as a vice president. They need somebody that can be able to galvanize people, a rabble rouser, that can be able to inject a lot of energy into its campaign. And a lot of people are actually of the opinion, some people are of the opinion that Governor Okowa is not that kind of person, and he's too meek to be considered. What exactly does he bring to this particular ticket as it is? His combination with Atiku, what does it actually pretend for the PDP?
These are serious times. Nigeria is at crossroads. With a collapsed economy. It's not collapsing, it's collapsed. We have a major energy crisis, and so I want to believe that you're running on diesel. I've not seen public power supply since last week. The last time I saw public power supply was this time last week in my home. Killings are rife. These are serious times. These are not times for drama. We are not looking for a drama king. looking for a man, as epitomized, by by Okowa, man who is calm. In terms of emergency, I mean, there is turbulence, in the air. A pilot is, you need a man who, can come to terms with the reality, of the times and be calm. If you're not calm, you're not able to do. So you said it clearly that the man is a calm person. And you need a calm mind with a clear vision to be able to navigate, the challenges that we're facing, as a people. They are monumental, they are huge, they are historic. We never had it this bad. So he is the kind of person that Atiku Abubakar is also another, he's not a drama person, serious-minded. So governance is serious, is serious business. And so that was why he brought, if you heard him clearly, someone that will complement him. There is really, knowing the two of them, over some time, there is a bromance. You see, when I look at the two of you, I can also see that, the way you've been handling, all of these things, there is, some connection that you have. And I believe he has that connection. You need that kind of a person who shares in your values, who will be able to walk your vision, with you, who is on the same page with you on the matters of security, of education, of economy, and all other things that you have, prescriptions that you have made, in your policy, documents. So you need that kind of a person. And I believe that the Governor, His Excellency Governor Ifeanyi Okowa complements, every ramification, what Atiku Abubakar. He's bringing a lot on the table. He has had, what he's been able to do in Delta State, his state, delivering, on those key, areas that make life, meaningful, for people. Education, he's done well. He's done well in infrastructure, development in Delta State. Above all, there is unity, there is peace. You need that more than any other thing. For us to make progress, in economic development, in providing social, making social investments, we need to ensure that all of the divisions that have been wrought on us in the last 7 years by this administration because of its policies of, there is a near absence of inclusiveness, and that in itself has implications for security, and those are some of the things driving the separatist agendas that you see all over the place. So, I need to, restate that His Excellency Governor Ifeanyi Okowa, complements very well, the presidential candidate of the PDP, Atiku Abubakar.
Interesting. Some of the points, salient points that you have brought to the fore. But there are issues already with these announcements. Yesterday, I'm sure you are aware, some party chieftains saying they are parting ways because of the choice of Okowa, and the Ohanese saying that Governor Okowa, who chaired the South-South Accord, is it, for the call for power to shift to that part of the country today, seem to have been compensated with the vice presidential ticket, thereby throwing away whatever the outcome of that accord is, and in a way viewing it as some kind of betrayal of the cause. Do you see those pronouncements as such?
Well, any serious-minded member of the PDP at this point in time of our history will understand that the country needs a new direction. That if we are to even have a nation, we need to ensure that we enthrone leadership and governance that will give hope, that will rekindle hope. I know that not everybody may be satisfied with the announcement of yesterday, and I wasn't expecting everybody to be, to just accept it the way it is. It's in the nature of politics. Some people may have their personal, choices to make. But what will not be acceptable is anti-party, activities. It's either you're in the PDP or you're out of the PDP. And some people have a history of playing both ends of the political, divide. And it's not really, predicated on any principle. It is predicated on stomach infrastructure.
So are you saying it is wrong for, let's say, the Ohanese Ndibu to have raised an objection with regards to the role that he has played? If you have been a front runner asking that power should shift to this part of the world, one would think that on a moral ground, you should not be a beneficiary of something you didn't canvass for.
Well, I wasn't speaking about the Ohanese Ndibu. Don't forget that I am part of the Indiese, Ohanese, the leadership, the king and the people.
That's right. Okay.
So I am very proudly Ohanese. So I wasn't referring to the Ohanese, I was referring to the individuals.
That's right.
It is in its place to make pronouncements, about the direction, of the country. They're also stakeholders, But the party, we need to state it, the party, the PDP, had gone on a journey, had taken, position. All of the organs of the party have been involved, in the process to determining what direction, they are going to. There was a debate, robust debate, about the issue of zoning, and the party took, a decision. Which they believe is in their best interest and in the best interest of the nation. And on that decision that they took, they have come this far. And I think any party person, because I was referring to the individuals, party person should respect
that process.
You understand? The minority have had a say. Everybody has ventilated, spoken about what they think, and a position has been taken, by the party. That position needs to be respected. Like I said, the bigger challenge is to confront the ruling party and be able to form a united front so that they can be defeated. If you don't defeat them, all of the things that people are talking about, sharing, you will not have the opportunity, to do this. So it is important that those who may be aggrieved, they shield their destiny and give the party and the presidential candidate an opportunity to engage, with them.
All right, an opportunity to engage. That is a very interesting point, because it leads to my question right now. Just like you said, there are people that might feel aggrieved with certain decisions that have actually been taken within the party because it doesn't favor some of the ideas that they have. Has the party put anything in place to keep those people within the fold? Because we don't, I believe the party doesn't want a situation whereby this one will leave, that one will leave, and people will start doing, just like you mentioned, anti-party activities. What has the party now put in place to ensure that these people remain with the fold? And how do I put it now? And you work for the benefit of the party.
One of the things that you can concede to the PDP is the fact that it has very robust mechanism for dealing with, the issues that are thrown up, in the party. Since 1998, when the party was set up, they have that. That was why they were able to dodge the bullet, with the primaries. They dodged the bullet with the election, that threw up, His Excellency Dr. Yocha, Senator Yocha Ayu, as a national chairman. And once again, I believe that they will dodge, the bullet. And not because of, strong men, no, it's because of the robust, mechanism that they have. And I believe, and I can say with you this morning, that the process to healing, the process to mending the cracks, the process to, dousing, tensions and telling the people who may be aggrieved that no, we're in this, together. We have crossed, one river, but we have a major river to cross, in February, and we need everybody, coming on board. To be able to do that. Okay. It's not just about Atiku Abubakar. It's about all of us, you and I. If we understand what this moment, means, where a loaf of bread, depending on which part of the country you are, is 900 to 1,000 naira. We are 800 gram Dano milk sachet is 4,000 naira. We've never had this bad. So these are the, whether as PDP or as Nigerians, these are the critical decisions that we need to make, going forward.
Talking about critical decisions, moving slightly away, from Governor Okowa, even though he seemed to form the bulk of whichever way the pendulum swings this morning. We have seen an unprecedented attention to choosing a vice president, not just with the PDP. Just about every party. In fact, we now have a new lexicon in our political history of a dummy candidate ahead of a deadline, whatever that means. But prior to this time, the choice of a candidate was a given. Everybody was just interested in the main flag bearer, and after that, whatever it is, he picks, in quote, as a spare tire. Is given little or no attention. What do you think is happening to our national consciousness, given the kind of intensity with which Nigerians have followed the debate around who deputizes? What has happened? What exactly shifts? What's happening to us as a country?
Two things. One, the choice of the vice presidential candidates, it involves some balancing. You need to balance the ticket, whatever may be the configurations involved. Balancing, and you know that it takes, it's challenging to balance. So that's what it is all about. That is why there is an interest. Secondly, don't forget that the vice president is the chairman of the National Economic Council. And that's a very strong, institution, within the presidency that oversees the management, of the economy. So you need somebody, especially at this point in time, and when we are, grappling with a GDP that is less than 1%, you need somebody who understand what managing the economy is about. You need somebody that will share in the vision, of the candidate itself. But above all, you also need somebody who, peradventure, anything happens, you have a ready-made leader from day one who can step in to be president. So it's not just the era of spare tires, are gone. It's no longer a spare tire issue. The times that we live in are different from the distant. It's more challenging, and you need to have somebody who can be able to rise, to the challenge of the times. I think this is what this is all about.
And you have followed activities closely at the level of the party. From the emergence of the party chairman, as you rightly mentioned, which was a dodging of bullet, if I choose to use it, or if you permit me to use those phrases of yours, to the emergence of, first of all, tackling the issues of whether to zone the president to the south or throw the tickets open, and all of the consultations that went into that, to arriving at the presidential flag bearer, and of course, to the choice of Okowa. What has been the feelers, from across the country with regards to the kind of attention that has been paid? Because we know that the opposition party, if I would quote the words of some key stakeholders, have played a very terrible role in checking the party in power. Whilst the party in power seemed to have had its own fair share of crises, the opposition party seemed to have spent the last 7 years wobbling from one kind of crisis to the other. Now, with all of these milestones crossed, what has been the feelers from across the countries, from keen watchers of the activities of the PDP to members who have decided not to be part of the controversy and just sit and watch and see what direction things are? Are you getting any kind of feelers about renewed zeal and vigor about participating in the taking interest and participating in the activities of the party?
You know, Nigerians from all walks and from all divides are reminiscing about, you know, the good old days. You see, whatever it is you may say, you know, about the 16 years of the PDP, it doesn't compare to what we have had in the last 7 years. The last 7 years have been hell. It's been hellish. But average Nigerian, the middle class has disappeared. You know, I was discussing with a friend of mine, and then I said, the middle class plays a key role. And then, you know, in every country, and when you have a middle class here disappearing, what will happen to, you know, those on the lower rungs of the, you know, the ladder, the poor? We have a middle class, and a lot of you know, the middle class is very, very distant because they are the ones closer to the distant, you know, they have been able to make a breakthrough from the poverty distant. And so there is, you know, some form of affinity between them. And where you don't have them, it portends serious implications for the poor, you know, for the very poor people. So we've had a middle class that has vanished since 2015. It is not there. And they have fallen into, you know, the poverty, you know, trap. And that's why you have the poverty, you know, in Nigeria being discussed and elevated as multidimensional. It is much more, you know, higher than, you know, what you find in other places, about 90 million, you know, people. So those are, you know, those data are very scary. So people are already looking, you know, having the hope that they can have, you know, that those good old days, you know, with the PDP, you know, back, you know, in power. And I mean, you have conversation and, okay, fine. Take us back to where we were, you know, where Naira to dollar exchange rate was about 159, 69 to a dollar. 64. You know, we know what it is, you know, today. And so if you look at, you see, this election will be a referendum on the APC. And let's do a check. Economy, less than 1%. Prices, they have hit the roof. Security, human life and dignity has no value. People are killed every day, and there are no consequence of the action. Nobody is brought to book. Let's look at education. ASU strike. Oh yes, there have been ASU strike before, but nobody comes into government, especially on the mantra of change, and they want to do better than the previous government on negatives. That's not how it is. You want to be able to leave a legacy. So our young children, our young people at home, they have been at home, there is no prospect, they are going back, you know, any soon.
You made a very good point about next year's election being a referendum. But I want to look at something closer now, because I'll be remiss if I don't bring up the Ekiti election. That is upon us now. How do you, how much of a litmus test do you think the Ekiti election will be ahead of 2023? Both for parties and for INEC, and even we, the Nigerian voters.
Let me leave Ekiti out of the equation.
Okay.
Let me come back to the last local government election, the council election that was held in FCT. You know, FCT at the federal capital representing all of the dynamics, all of the elements, you know, from different parts of the country, religion, all of that. That clearly was a litmus test. The FCT election clearly showed you the direction. You know, because the PDP won, you know, made inroads even into areas where it didn't, you know, wasn't even strong. One local government chairman in areas that were, you know, that were the stronghold of, you know, of the APC. So not the Ekiti election, but the FCT election, you know, clearly shows you the direction that will be go. I don't know the outcome. I can't sit here and prejudge what will be the outcome, you know, of the Ekiti, you know, election. You have a sitting governor there, you know, of the ruling party, and you know how it is with using the instruments of state, of security and the rest of them. They are conducting an election. But the FCT election, like I said, clearly shows, what it signposts, how the direction of the election in February.
And quickly, before we let you go, we have seen some level of surge in young people, or in fact, young people, if you like, showing up at the INEC offices and designated center to have, to register for their PVCs or probably have them replaced, whatever the case. I mean, some kind of interest we have not seen in recent time. What do you think accounts for this level of interest? Is it just merely because that provides them with a means of identification, or have we come to a point where they now find the players very interesting and that everybody wants to take a part? We've seen this surge across, from the southeast down to the south, essentially, generally. How would you describe this surge? And in addition to that, in your closing thought, would you also support the call for the extension of the continuous voters register as a way of making sure that every eligible voter who makes himself available is captured in this process?
One of the challenges that we have had with young people is their inability to translate, that energy, that they have down to the polling unit to make themselves available, on election day. And the young people, by their nature, are very, they have a lot of energy, to play with them. I'm not surprised about the upsurge, in their numbers. It could be due to a number of factors, but I think the number one factor is that young people in Nigeria are not immune to the realities that we are in now. They are jobless. They are the target of security, agencies because they are wearing dreadlocks, or because of how they look, and they are profiled. All of the avenues that they have to direct their energies into their productive or creative, entrepreneurial businesses, they have all been strangulated. We saw what happened with the ban of of Twitter. And people don't know, a lot of young people were dependent on that. I knew of a young person who had a multi-million, naira business that went, through the roof because of that ban. So in this globalized, technology-driven age that we live in, see that young people have begun to, they've found relevance, in those sectors. So they know all of these things. They are, they find themselves in, in endless queues, unable to get fuel. They see the rising, cost of living and the rest of them. And I believe that, all of those things have prompted them to say, no, we want to be able to have, not just to say, we want to take action. And I pray that this action they are taking will translate to their, votes. They must be available to vote. Otherwise, that energy will not have, come to a positive use. Yes, it's a continuous voter registration. And it should be continuous, not just only in nomenclature. And there's nothing wrong in extending it to ensure that people, young people or old people or whoever it is that has a desire, to register, and get a PVC, and that they have an opportunity to exercise, their franchise. I think that is important, and there's nothing wrong in INEC. If INEC is able to extend the deadline for parties to conduct their primaries on the eve of the PDP, own, they should be able to extend, for a prospective, voters to register and get their PVC.
Well, a fitting way to bring this conversation to a close. We have been talking to a media man extraordinary, the special advisor to the presidential flag bearer of the People's Democratic Party, one man who has honed his skills in this same temple. for information management and has been a forerunner for a number of young media practitioners. Paul Ibe is the name who has been in the studio with us providing perspectives to the emergence of Governor Okowa and all other intricacies around the candidature down to the continuous voters registration. It's a pleasure to have you in the studio. Join us, and we hope that in the coming days when the campaign hits the roof proper, you will be here to guide us through what is happening and offer insights to some of the actions of the People's Democratic Party. It's been a pleasure to have you join this ride with us this morning, morning with heavy showers and downpours in the Federal Capital Territory. We hope you make it a date with us, same time, same station, when we return next week with another edition of Daybreak. My name is Sunday Michael Ogu. Please stay blessed.
And I am Ibrahim Yusuf. Thanks for staying with us on Daybreak on Trust TV.